Speaking of which, you dedicate the book to your boys. I thought that was very cool. This is my Bret Baier moment right here, where I do this.
Get the glasses.
But I got to put them on because I can't read it. To my sons, Paul and Daniel, it is my wish that the nations you inherit will give you life to your dreams and fill your days with happiness and purpose. No, that's I think one of the best messages a father can give his sons. Do you as a father, not as a newsman, because you never ever, you always call it straight. That's why you are who you are. But as a father, do you have concerns? Are you worried about the way things look? Because I can honestly tell you that I do have concerns sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. 18 and 15, they spend a lot of time in their phones. There's a lot of bad crap that comes their way on social media. I say in my current job on news that I'm kind of like an ice hockey goalie trying to prevent the bad pucks from getting through, and I can't prevent them to my kids. And so I want them to read this. I want them to have a sense of where we are as a country because, look, with an AI technology, a generation we don't know what it's going to look like, they're going to be the ones that make the decisions. And they got to be grounded in at least some of the stuff that makes our country what it is.
And then you go right in, and again, I don't want to, chapter 2, I love how you go from one of the most monumental moment of the birth of this country, and then you bring it right back to present day. And you have 3 things that this country is. And I thought, you got to read it to get the whole message, but democracy is messy. That resonates.
Big time.
Because it's messy, but it kind of has to be, right? It's not ever going to be clear cut because the whole point is to allow dissent. That's the whole point of having free society. It's not enjoying it that we agree with each other. It's being able to say no.
It's baked in the cake. Dissent is part of who we are.
And you're like, it's a good thing to have under the right constitution. And then you, again, go right into it. You say something that we already should know, but maybe I think we get spoiled because we live in the greatest country in the world. And I've traveled the world. You've traveled the world. There's a lot of great places, but I've never been to a place, and I've been to every continent that I've said, you know what, hon, sell all the shit. We found it.
This is where we're going.
Yeah. After a few weeks, it's like, man, I can't wait to get back home.
Yeah.
And it's because our nation is diverse. And again, these are chapters within themselves, books within themselves, and you just capture it. Our nation is diverse, and you even say some people don't like that word, but it is the differences, and it's not just a pigment thing. It's a cultural thing. It's a religious thing. There's so many different ways to path to success in this country. It's not just one way, and and then the third thing, and I'm just curious of what we are young. It's a reminding that we're still growing, and there's still the great experiment
in the history of the world. 250.
It's nothing.
It's really quick.
We still have training wheels on the bike.
Yeah. And Condi Rice said to me that one of the best things about this country is that it's a country still striving, that we're trying to be perfect. We're never perfect, but we're striving to be perfect. Now, this is from a woman who grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, in the segregated South. Her friends were bombed and killed at that church that she was down the street from in Birmingham. She goes on to study, becomes a huge success, and is standing in the State Department as the Secretary of State next to world leaders, looking in the mirror saying, this can only happen in America.
Yeah, because America was founded. Again, I go back to the first chapter. England was, if it was a fight, they would have stopped it. They would have thrown the towel in the first round.
Right.
They were trouncing us. They were taking cities. They were making maps of how their new places and their new countries and their new colonies. And I mean, it came down to where we just wanted it more. And men were willing to we're either going to have it or we're not. It's either liberty or death. So our country has kind of been, there has always been blockades in front of you. I've experienced them. You've experienced them. You don't get to where you are without failure, without success, without running into people who it doesn't matter what you say, you just not it. And it never stopped her. And you capture that to the point where she's now sitting at the head of the table and she's earned every right to be there because she took the failures, the setbacks, whether it was the color of her skin or whether because she was a woman or whatever, because she leaned right or left, whatever the issue is, there's always going to be blockades and roadblocks. It's just the American way is to go right through them or find a way around them. 100%. And I think when we kind of get into this thing where we want, especially with our kids, we don't want our kids to go through anything. You cannot, especially men, you cannot become a man unless you got some scars on the way up.
Totally.
You have to go through heartbreak. You have to setbacks and failures, and then there's always a great lesson. And if you take the time to open a book or listen to somebody, you will see that like the stuff that you're going through, somebody went through, and they went through it in a much tougher road with less lights and less opportunities.
Totally.
And you shouldn't look back on that and be like, feel sorry, because they don't feel sorry for you. And you ask them, if you would ask her, would you change anything about her life? I think the answer she would look at you and say no.
Zero.
Because
I think I asked that question.
And she said, I wouldn't be where I am without it.
So that's, who we are. We're resilient. It's still the land of opportunity. We are unified with dissent. And we have to remember that. It's a partisan country, and we are split ideologically. But we've been in really dark places before, really dark. And we have managed as a country to get through all of that. And sometimes I think it's just like a refresher that you just have to kind of remember.
Right.
And you need a little tweak,
because
and that's what this book
kind of went
is.
through this in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
There was
race riots, the Vietnam riots.
All that stuff. And then we kind of had a self-correction. I always say America's different than any other country because usually things like that are the beginning of the end. But America always has a way to kind of reset.
Pendulum swings.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to see that reset in terms of the pandemic hurt a lot of people, and especially our youth.
Yeah.
I mean, their best friend was a tablet, and that changes that and a lot of especially young men lost critical time of development to go through failures, to have things, kids didn't have their prom. There was a lot of things where they just relied on whatever was put in front of them.
True.
And it was almost like a new drug in the sense to where like it was instant gratification. Mm-hmm. And the one thing about America is hard work isn't quick. So we were basically going against the fabric of our country saying, no, you don't have to do anything. Don't worry about it. Which leads to what? Socialism. Mm-hmm. So it's not really surprising that people are like, well, it's not me, it's the system. It's I'm a victim.
Right.
And so that victimhood thing, I think, was the worst outbreak of the pandemic. And it's hard to blame them. It's hard to be mad at them because you don't know how. Like, I remember when I was coming up, the Malcolm X movie came out, and all of a sudden, me and all my friends were all about it. We went out and we got our African hats and we were out the man. And then I remember in my Black History class, he said, hey, why don't you actually read the book? And I had to do a report on the book. And by the end of the book, I was like, yeah, this Muslim thing ain't for me. You know what I'm saying? Like the movie just kind of picked a few things.
Right.
And you get hyped into that. But there was we had the leadership that was like, hold on. They didn't say it was bad. They're like, I'm going to lay it out for you to see. The problem is, getting someone to sit, a kid who's used to TikTok, just boom, here it is, and to get them to actually do the research without, well, can I get the video version of it? No. You need to read for the to understand, to take the thing, and I think that's what's missing. But we're starting to see. I think we're starting to see a comeback. We're starting to see.
I do. I see a little bit of bubbling up. I see a lot of a hunger for something deeper from the next generation. I mean, look at the kids going to church now. They're searching for something, right? They're searching for some structure, some identity, something. And I think touching the 250th is worth being one of those touch points. Like, hey, we have the best country, and here's why. X, Y, Z, and this is the case I'm making in front of a jury. At the end of this book,
and that's what I like about this, because it does kind of feel like you're in court.
Yeah,
like I said, your books. The one thing I like about you is I can never cookie cutter you with a book. It's always
be
different.
this. Yeah,
I remember with Ulysses, it was like I didn't know about the alcohol and like not want to change his clothes. Like you paint a picture. Have you always been a storyteller your whole life? Has that always been something?
It's been something that I've refined. I've always loved storytelling, but the writing part has been over time, I think, a lot easier for me. Like as far as being descriptive of moments that I know are nuggets of history that my team has uncovered in the National Archives, and we piece them together like a quilt to make it so that it is really readable. And you could read it on a beach over the weekend.
I was just, like I said, Celtics are out of the playoffs. The Red Sox won last night. Bruins are out. So I got some free time right now in my hotel room.
But you can read it, and it's readable.
And it's a quick read.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you just saw, don't stop there. You can catch the full conversations right here only on Planet Tyrus. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And you don't want to miss what's next. I'm telling you, bad things will happen. Oh, I'm just playing. Nothing bad's going to happen, but I won't be your friend.